It started as a routine morning segment on the Today Show, with Jason Bateman set to discuss his latest film and upcoming projects. The studio was bright, cameras rolling, and Craig Melvin greeted him with his usual warm smile. The audience clapped, expecting light-hearted banter and insider stories from Hollywood. Yet, beneath the smiles, a tension began to build, subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but steadily growing with each passing question. Jason appeared calm and collected initially, engaging in the small talk about his career and the film's plot. The interview began smoothly, with humor and anecdotes that drew laughter from the audience. However, when Craig shifted the discussion towards sensitive industry topics, including controversial reviews and celebrity opinions, Jason's demeanor subtly changed. His responses became measured, his eyes sharper, signaling that the conversation was about to take a dramatic turn. Craig, unaware of the brewing storm, continued probing about Jason's recent comments on Hollywood trends. "Some critics say your humor is a little outdated," he said with a chuckle. Jason paused, his jaw tightening slightly. "Outdated?" he asked, voice calm but firm. "Maybe it's called consistency. Maybe it's called understanding what people actually enjoy." The audience reacted with nervous laughter, sensing that the humor had an edge. Craig tried to laugh it off, saying, "Well, times are changing fast, you know." Jason's tone hardened. "Times change, sure," he replied, "but some things don't need to change just to appease trends." The audience grew quiet, sensing the tension building between the host and his guest. Jason's usually casual humor had transformed into sharp, pointed words, and even Craig seemed momentarily thrown off. Attempting to pivot, Craig asked about Jason's directorial experiences. Jason responded, but his answers were terse, filled with subtle sarcasm. "Directing is about knowing what works and what doesn't," he said. "Not every trend needs validation from social media or critics." The audience clapped lightly, but the energy was charged. Laughter now felt nervous rather than genuine. The conversation escalated further when Craig brought up a playful comment from a recent interview, implying Jason had been too serious in his approach. Jason's eyes narrowed slightly. "Too serious?" he asked. "Maybe it's called professionalism, something that seems rare these days." The comment drew gasps from the audience. The studio, which had begun with light energy, now felt tense and unpredictable. Jason leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "I respect questions," he continued, "but there's a difference between curiosity and provocation." Craig raised an eyebrow but continued. "We're just trying to have fun," he said. Jason sighed, a flicker of frustration crossing his face. "Fun is fine, but not at the expense of honesty or context," he replied, his tone now unmistakably sharp. The audience sensed the exchange was no longer playful. Whispers rippled through the studio as Jason's composure contrasted sharply with Craig's surprised expression. Jason's normally easygoing demeanor was replaced by controlled intensity, signaling to everyone that the conversation had crossed a line in his mind. The dynamic shifted from host-guest banter to charged confrontation. Craig tried to redirect the conversation, complimenting Jason on his comedic timing and versatility. "Your fans love your humor," he said warmly. Jason paused, glanced at the camera, and replied, "Fans love authenticity. And sometimes that means disagreeing with opinions they think I should accept." The audience murmured. Jason's words were calm but carried a weight that few expected from a morning show guest. When Craig joked about Jason's past roles, implying he had played it safe, Jason's patience snapped. "Played it safe?" he asked, voice rising slightly. "I've taken risks, made choices that matter, and not everything was to entertain a crowd of critics." The audience gasped, and some clapped nervously. The segment had clearly shifted from casual to confrontational in mere minutes. Craig attempted to diffuse the tension with a light-hearted joke. "Well, I guess we're learning a lot about your serious side today." Jason shook his head, tone dripping with disbelief. "It's not about being serious, it's about being honest. And when honesty is treated like offense, it gets frustrating." The air in the studio was now thick with palpable tension. The exchange escalated when Craig made another remark, referencing a recent award show where Jason had expressed his dissatisfaction with the press. "Some say you're too outspoken," Craig teased. Jason's eyes narrowed, and his voice rose. Too outspoken, or too truthful for a world that wants everyone to sugarcoat, the audience murmured in shock, some leaning forward in anticipation. Jason's frustration became evident. "I'm here to talk about my work," he continued, "not to defend every opinion that's ever been misrepresented. It's exhausting to be constantly interpreted incorrectly." His words carried a sharp edge, and Craig paused, realizing that the conversation had now veered into territory he hadn't anticipated. The tension was now almost unbearable. Jason's voice, though controlled, resonated with authority and emotion. "I came here to share my art, my process, my journey," he said. "I did not come here to be challenged on things that don't matter or misrepresented points that trivialize my effort." The audience, silent and captivated, felt the weight of his statement. Then came the pivotal moment. Jason, visibly agitated, leaned back and said, "I think I've made my point." Without further warning, he stood up, removed his microphone, and walked off the stage. The cameras followed his departure, capturing the stunned expressions of Craig and the live audience. Gasps and murmurs echoed through the studio. Craig remained seated, trying to recover with a nervous laugh. "Well, that's a broken bar. A broken bar, certainly something," he stammered. The audience gave an awkward applause, unsure whether to laugh or stay silent. Social media immediately erupted, with live clips of Jason walking off being shared across multiple platforms. The moment went viral within minutes. Backstage, producers rushed to locate Jason, but he reportedly requested a brief private moment. The crew scrambled, discussing how to continue the live broadcast without escalating tension further. Kelly's team prepared an apology segment, while Jason's representatives monitored social media reactions, which were already trending globally. Fans took to X and TikTok, dividing opinions. Some praised Jason for standing up for himself and refusing to tolerate misrepresentation. Others criticized him for overreacting on live TV. Analysts debated whether the segment was planned or genuinely spontaneous, but most agreed that it was an unforgettable moment of raw emotion. Within hours, entertainment outlets picked up the story. Headlines read, "Jason Bateman storms off Today Show and actor erupts in heated clash with Craig Melvin." Analysts dissected body language, tone, and phrasing, creating clips that were replayed repeatedly online. The viral nature of the moment ensured it dominated morning and evening news cycles. Jason's team released a statement hours later. Jason values open conversation but expects interviews to focus on the work he's promoting. The exchange today veered away from that, and he needed to step away. "No further comment at this time." Kelly's team, meanwhile, expressed appreciation for the audience's understanding. The story dominated social media discussions for days. Hashtags like #JasonBatemanWalksOff and #TodayShowClash trended worldwide. Clips of the confrontation amassed millions of views on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Memes emerged, portraying Jason's controlled frustration in humorous ways, while serious discussions explored the ethics of live interviewing. Talk show analysts dissected the event in detail. Some praised Jason for authenticity, arguing that celebrities rarely express honest frustration publicly. Others criticized him for losing composure on live television. Either way, the story became a major case study in the tension between hosts and high-profile guests. The controversy also drew attention to Craig Melvin, who faced scrutiny for his approach. Some viewers argued that he provoked Jason unnecessarily, while others believed he was performing typical hosting duties. Commentators noted the delicate balance talk show hosts must maintain to keep conversations engaging yet respectful. Jason's social media following spiked immediately after the incident. Fans flocked to support him, praising his commitment to honesty and integrity. Streaming platforms reported increased viewership of his past films and interviews, suggesting that even conflict can bolster public interest in a celebrity's career. A week later, Jason addressed the incident in a recorded interview. He explained that stepping away was necessary to maintain professionalism and composure. "Sometimes you have to remove yourself from a situation before it gets heated," he said. His statement was measured, showing both accountability and self-respect. Craig Melvin also commented indirectly on a later segment, noting that live TV moments can be unpredictable. "Everyone has their breaking point. he said. His statement was widely interpreted as an olive branch, signaling mutual respect despite the publicized clash. As time passed, the walk-off became an iconic live television moment. Entertainment historians later cited it in retrospectives about unscripted, high-drama TV segments. It was praised as an example of emotional honesty that resonated with viewers worldwide. Months later, Jason appeared on another talk show, joking about the incident. "I promise I stayed seated this time," he said, earning laughter. Fans appreciated his ability to turn a tense event into a humorous anecdote, showing resilience and adaptability. The viral incident even inspired discussions among comedians and actors about handling stressful interviews. Workshops and panels analyzed the confrontation, focusing on techniques for maintaining authenticity while navigating live media pressure. Jason's decision to walk off was repeatedly highlighted as a case study in self-respect. Ultimately, the clash between Jason Bateman and Craig Melvin wasn't just a viral moment, it became a lesson in honesty, professionalism, and emotional boundaries. The story reminded audiences that even in high-pressure, polished environments, raw human reactions can capture global attention and leave a lasting mark on pop culture. In the days that followed, media outlets continued to analyze every second of the confrontation. Experts in public relations weighed in, suggesting that Jason's reaction, though intense, reflected a growing frustration many artists felt towards sensationalized journalism. Others believed it was a missed opportunity for dialogue. Still, no one could deny that the moment had reignited debate about the fine line between authenticity and professionalism in celebrity interviews. Fans flooded Jason's social media with messages of support. Some wrote heartfelt posts praising him for standing up against what they perceived as manipulative questioning. Others shared edited clips of the moment, adding captions like "when you've had enough of fake interviews." The phrase quickly became a meme template across X and Instagram. Jason himself remained quiet online, further adding to the intrigue. Meanwhile, the Today Show producers were caught between two fires. The network applauded the viral publicity, while others within the organization worried about reputational damage. Craig Melvin faced both sympathy and criticism, as he defended himself by saying, "My goal was never to upset Jason. I just asked questions that viewers were curious about." Still, not everyone bought the explanation. Entertainment talk shows like The View and Entertainment Tonight dissected the event with their panels. Some commentators framed Jason as a passionate artist pushed too far, while others accused him of being overly sensitive. One host even joked, "At least he didn't throw a coffee mug. That's progress." The humor lightened the narrative, but the underlying tension between celebrity authenticity and media control remained the real talking point. Behind the scenes, Jason's representatives held strategy meetings to manage the narrative. They debated whether to issue a clarifying statement or let public curiosity drive the story naturally. Eventually, they agreed that silence would speak louder than explanation. It was a risky move but ultimately made Jason appear grounded, unbothered, and more relatable, a contrast to the often reactive world of celebrity PR. Interestingly, the incident had an unintended consequence. Jason's new movie saw a surge in interest. Online searches for his name doubled overnight, and trailers gained millions of additional views. Analysts called it the controversy effect, where emotional moments of authenticity increased curiosity rather than harmed reputations. For Jason, it was an ironic twist, a storm that unexpectedly worked in his favor. Craig Melvin, on the other hand, faced his own wave of attention. While some applauded his calmness during the exchange, others criticized his persistence. In later interviews, he admitted that the situation got uncomfortable faster than expected. He added, "Live television is unpredictable. You think you're in control until something real happens." His honesty earned him a measure of respect, even among critics. The debate expanded into podcasts and YouTube commentary videos. Influencers and analysts broke down the confrontation, frame by frame, pointing out micro-expressions and tonal shifts. Some argued Jason's reaction reflected deeper frustrations with the entertainment industry, where actors often feel boxed into shallow narratives for the sake of ratings. The clip became a cultural mirror, revealing how audiences consume conflict. Even comedians chimed in, parodying the event in sketches. Late-night shows joked about Jason's epic walk-off, reenacting it with exaggerated sound effects and applause. Jason, watching from the sidelines, reportedly laughed at some of the spoofs, proving he could still see the humor in the chaos. It showed the public that behind the frustration, he still had his signature wit and humility. As weeks passed, journalists began reframing the story not as a feud, but as a moment of clarity. Articles highlighted Jason's career achievements, portraying him as a professional who momentarily lost patience but stood firm in his principles. The narrative evolved from scandal to redemption. By then, Jason had already returned to interviews, exuding the same confidence and composure that audiences admired. One of Jason's later interviews became particularly significant. Speaking to a respected magazine, he said, "I don't regret walking off. I just wish it hadn't come to that. Sometimes, silence is the only way to end noise." His words resonated widely, especially among younger artists who viewed his stance as a lesson in protecting personal boundaries and artistic integrity. The entertainment industry, ever reactive, began using the incident as a learning example. Workshop panels for journalists and talk show hosts discussed the fine balance between pressing for truth and provoking discomfort. Training programs referenced Jason's interview as a turning point in modern celebrity-media relations. The clash that began as a viral storm slowly became a professional benchmark. Meanwhile, fans who once argued online began to move toward consensus. They acknowledged that both Jason and Craig had been under immense live TV pressure. Many agreed that their clash, though heated, reflected genuine human emotion, something often missing from overly rehearsed entertainment. The public, it seemed, appreciated authenticity more than polished perfection. Months later, Jason surprised everyone when he accepted an invitation back to the Today Show. The announcement alone caused headlines, with fans curious whether he and Craig would address the past incident. When the day arrived, the reunion was unexpectedly warm. Craig greeted him with a handshake and a smile, saying, "Good to see you, and no walk-offs this time, right?" Jason laughed, breaking the tension instantly. Their on-air conversation was refreshingly light. Jason cracked jokes, Craig played along, and the audience roared with laughter. Toward the end, Jason said, "You know, sometimes walking off teaches you how to walk back better." The crowd applauded. It was a moment of redemption and closure, two professionals proving that even after conflict, mutual respect and good humor can turn a viral clash into an unforgettable comeback.